Yeah. 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 We rolling deep across our 10 in the dirty South where the rivers blend from Lake Charles to Baton Rouge. We riding with the Saints under them southern skies. We hustle hard, ain't no time to stop. Drive to the top, it's our time to shine. From Nola's heart, we redefine the grind. Southwest Louisiana, stand up proud. With every beat, we bring the heat, hear the crowd. From Houston streets to Lafayette, Logan knees. Right, let the raging cages flow. DJ Dirty South, turn it up loud. Marking our vibes, yeah, we make our proud. Get on the bus, we coming alive. Drive to the top, it's our time to shine. From Nola's heart, we redefine the grind. Southwest Louisiana, stand up proud.
Well, welcome back to part 2 of this 1-year anniversary edition of On The Go right here on Driving to the Top Productions and Dirty South Entertainment. I'm back for another night on this hump day, April 29th, 2026. It's Dirty South himself, Marky Mark. Before I introduce my guests and we recap the rest of this second half, you know what to do real quick. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Follow me on X at Dirty South ENT _. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram, subscribe to my YouTube channel. On The Go, you can find on Instagram at onthego_TXLA and Driving to the Top Productions on YouTube, Facebook, X, and so forth. So let me go ahead and bring them on now before we get on the bus and take it to the 504. Big New Orleans guy. He's from around that area, but now he currently resides in Baton Rouge. I think he's been, ever since I've been on Driving to the Top, I think he appeared on every show I've done. He's been on SAT Sports. He's been on Sportsmania Plus, and now for the first time, he's coming on The Go. You can find him on Sports Etouffee, and now part of Louisiana First News. It's Mr. Logan Graffia. Welcome back, brother. How you been?
Oh, I've been good. I've been busy, and now making it 3 for 3 on another show of yours. So happy to be here.
Well, I gotta say, since you just got into Baton Rouge, how you liking it so far? I saw you went to your first LSU baseball game not long ago. You got to tell me what it was like.
So I've been in Baton Rouge since October. I've got a job out here in Baton Rouge. Worked before then. It took me like a year and a half to get another job at a television station. That's a whole nother story. But I've loved my time here in Baton Rouge. Everyone's been so nice and open and just very warm. And going to my first LSU baseball game, I was shadowing the sports director, who's been very nice to me as well. And when I got the Alex box, like it was, I was just taking it all in. I was kind of in awe because, I mean, I've never been before. Everyone's always told me I've never been inside Alex box before then, and then I've never been in Tiger Stadium. None of these places, because I was kind of far away from Baton Rouge. But yeah, it was a really great experience. I got the shadow of the sports director, filmed some stuff with him, and yeah, it was really a great experience. I really much enjoyed it.
Tell you what, wait till the fall come. Wait till you experience that first time in Death Valley.
I'm hoping so.
Can't compare it to the Superdome because they're both so iconic.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I've been in the Superdome quite a few times when I was working at a previous station. I mean, that was during the Derek Carr era, so it didn't really get as loud as you would like it to be because there wasn't really a lot to cheer for. But yeah, I'm hoping by the grace of God that if things work out well, maybe I can get inside Tiger Stadium in the fall for the first time ever.
Oh yeah, because season's coming and I'm ready to be back in there too. But let's go ahead and jump the gun because we both had long nights. We're ready. I'm ending this at midnight, no matter how far we get. So let's just jump to the 504 and get to these Saints draft picks. right. So, as you heard last night, I did my full recap of the first round, the Texans picks, every LSU player that got called up, and some of the picks from the second round to the seventh that had me at all. Now, when we get to these Saints ones, I just got a quick question for you. I mean, I'm sure you enjoyed the draft. You caught a bit of it. Was there any draft pick outside of the Saints and that put you at all?
Well, I mean, I was quite surprised to see how far both Harold Perkins and Garrett Nussmeier slid. Not to just talk about LSU players, but I mean, Harold Perkins falling to the Falcons and basically at the very end of the sixth round. And then you have Garrett Nussmeier, who almost didn't get picked until Kansas City picked him. And not to sound like a homer, but, I think Garrett Nussmeier is better than a few of the quarterbacks that got drafted, or maybe one or two. Like, Cade Klubnik got picked before him. And it's no diss at Cade Klubnik, but a healthy Garrett Nussmeier is better than Cade Klubnik because he actually went toe-to-toe against him in Clemson, and Nuss won. But, I mean, it is what it is. But so that was some of the two surprises, I would have to say.
All right. Well, getting to it on the Saints. So they had the eighth pick in the first round. I'm pretty sure you were like a lot of us thinking they were going to probably go edge rusher or a wide receiver. Like, take it from me, I was hoping they'd have got Reuben Bain Jr. at edge rusher or at wide receiver, maybe like Carnell Tate. But instead, we ended up getting Jordan Tyson at the time, who was the second best receiver taken off the board after Carnell Tate was already called up from the Tennessee Titans. But I loved the pick. Looking at his numbers, I mean, despite, he did have a lot of injuries at Arizona State, but in his 2 years, he had over 1,800 total receiving yards. He had 136 total receptions. He averaged about 13 yards per catch in his career, and he had 18 total receiving touchdowns. Not bad for, just for 2 years at Arizona State, despite the injuries he had. But I think this is a good target for a guy like Tyler Shuck. You're going to have him and Chris Olave together. Not to mention a couple other receivers we picked up we'll mention later. But I absolutely approve this pick, and I was actually excited getting a good wide receiver that we could off the board, thinking we were going to go with the defensive guy at the start in the eighth pick.
Oh, absolutely, and I was right there with you. I thought, like at least for the last few weeks, that I thought Reuben Bain was going to absolutely be the pick at 8, but then you start seeing a trend of, okay, Kellen Moore is visiting with a lot more receivers than any other position group in this upcoming draft. So that was very telling. And once you seen that he visited with Jordan Tyson on a top 30 visit, and you went to his pro day or his workout, then the videos come out, and then you can automatically see why Kellen just came away and said, yeah, that's our guy. Now, for starters, I think Jordan Tyson is a better wide receiver overall than Carnell Tate. I think, Carnell Tate's an absolutely stud at wide receiver. I think the Titans have reached a little bit, but that's just my opinion. But Jordan Tyson is kind of, when he's healthy, he's had, if you go back and see how he's gotten injured, it's all been kind of quote-unquote freak accident. Someone kind of like, spearing him in his knee or something crazy like that. So what you're getting in Jordan Tyson is basically another version of Amari Cooper, maybe like a lighter version, like LITE type of version of Amari Cooper, which I said in my draft guide. And the Saints have been kind of looking for that perfect kind of duo, number 2 receiver next to Olave, kind of like that Batman and Robin kind of duo, because ever since Michael Thomas has been gone, Olave's been thrown into the wide receiver 1, and sure, he's a solid first option at receiver, but you kind of need that second option, and the Saints haven't had that. And now with Jordan Tyson, they have that now, and I'm absolutely excited to see what he could do this season.
Yeah, absolutely. Because at first, like I said, I was throwing like Reuben Bain in there, Carnell Tate, hell, maybe even like a Caleb Downs. That was just guys in my head. I kind of had Jordan Tyson in the back of my head, but then when they called his name, I was cool with it. And then he's he's definitely going to have some support down in the area because remember, his former QB now transferred 70 miles away where he's going to be at in Baton Rouge. Sam Levitt now going to be at LSU.
Mhm.
So wouldn't be surprised if we see Jordan Tyson appear in Death Valley on Saturdays to support his former teammate. And then on Sundays, Sam makes the trip to the Dome to watch his former receiver kicking ass in the pros. So it was like a blessing from God there for both men to kind of stay connected there.
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of people I know give Sam Levitt a lot of flack, but if it wasn't for Sam Levitt, then Jordan Tyson may have not been a first round pick. And I absolutely love Sam Levitt being at LSU. Well, because one, he doesn't have to go to rehab for gambling.
Yeah.
And then you have Jordan Tyson, who, yeah, been beat up a little bit, but the medical staff and the training staff with the New Orleans Saints right now has, since Kellen Moore's taken over, Ted Rath is an incredible strength and conditioning coach. I mean, people know him more as the get back coach from the Rams days with Sean McVay, but I don't think I would be worried too much about any of the injury history with Jordan Tyson. I mean, everyone has somewhat of an injury history these days. A lot of people get beat up, but when you're a wide receiver and you're going across the middle, you're going to get hit. So it happens. So I'm happy that Jordan Tyson is here, and he's also kind of a big body wide receiver that we've been clamoring and begging the Saints to get.
I think he's going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Absolutely.
Then we go to the second round. They have the 41st pick. Now, yeah, I've always said, they always love to draft their Big Ten guys, especially from Ohio State. But if they ever draft anybody from the SEC, they like to get a lot of Bama players. But in the far corner of your eye, they like to get a few Georgia Bulldog players themselves, and they sure did in this year's draft. First, they pick up defensive tackle Christian Miller at the 41st pick, where in his career at Georgia, he had 64 total tackles, 31 solo, 33 assists. He had 4 sacks, and he also had one pass deteriorated, whatever that word is. I got messy handwriting, but
So good.
I could see him I know we got a lot of familiar names on that side of the ball. Well, on defensive tackle, we see rotations with like a Devon Godchaux, a Brian Brees, Christian Boyd. I could see him maybe getting some reps there. If he keeps it going, maybe he could be on the starting defensive line. Depends how they run that defense. But, yeah, I'm pretty happy to get a big SEC boy like Christian Miller come on that D-line of theirs.
Oh, absolutely. And it was kind of a surprise pick to me because I kind of had a late first round grade on Christian Miller, excuse me. Everything that I've read up on Christian Miller, I mean, from Todd McShay to all these other ones, there's been 2 comps that have been kind of in sync with each other. Todd McShay said Devon Godchaux, and I believe another one whose name escapes me said Kenny Clark. Now, if Kenny Clark's the ceiling for Christian Miller, that's pretty good. If the floor is Devon Godchaux, you're still in good shape. So, I mean, you're playing a 3-4 defense, and Christian Miller is in a perfect mold of a nose tackle in this defense, and I'm excited to see because he's a run stuffer. The Saints need to get better at stopping the run because you just have to. You're going to be playing a lot of run-centric teams. I mean, the running game's coming back. So, and it's going to definitely be one of the – he's going to be able to play off of Brian Brzee really well because Brian Brzee is your pass rush specialist at defensive tackle, and now you're going to have Christian Miller there. Whether he's a starter, I think he's going to start over Devon Godchaux, but now you have a run stuffer in Christian Miller. I mean, he's definitely going to plug up that middle, and he's going to be the linebacker's best friend because he's going to open up those holes for them linebackers to shoot the gaps and make the play.
Yeah. Then going into the third round with the 74th pick, this one was pretty important because of all the talks about getting a tight end with what's going on with Taysom Hill. We still really don't know a true answer with his situation and whatnot, but even though they did pick up Noah Fant during free agency and they still have Jawan Johnson in the tight end room, they able to pick up another tight end in Oscar Delp, who was also a Georgia Bulldog. So both him and Christian Miller coming to New Orleans. Delp's time in Georgia, he had 70 receptions, 854 yards, 9 touchdowns, with what's longest being 43 yards. So if you're Kellen Moore, you got guys like a Juwan Johnson and Oscar Delp and Noah Fant. I mean, they could rotate these guys, but when we got Noah Fant in the free agency, I figured, this was going to be our tight end. Now that they drafted Oscar Delp, it's kind of 50-50 of who's going to be that starting tight end on this offense. And it's going to be interesting to see this while we go through offseason and training camp and preseason of who's going to get that tight end 1 spot, probably out of those 3 guys.
Well, you kind of can't forget about Juwan Johnson. I think Juwan Johnson's got the job until someone takes it from him. And if it's going to be anyone, I think it's going to be Oscar Delp. I think he was very underutilized at Georgia. He's got so much tread left on the tires because of his being underutilized in that Georgia offense. He wasn't the focal point. And I was over the moon when they drafted Oscar Delp because throughout this whole draft process, he's been one of my favorite prospects in that tight end group outside of Kenyon Sadiq, who got drafted, I believe, in round 1 or round 2. But Oscar Delp fills the need. He's not only a great pass catcher, with 4.4 speed, I should add, about 6'5", 6'6", with 4.4 speed. That's incredible at his size. And he's an incredible blocker, too. If you go back and watch film, he's a good run blocker. He's a better run blocker than Juwan Johnson, and he might even be better than Noah Fant. But now you have 3 tight ends that you can use to go out and catch a pass in 3 tight end sets. I mean, it could be in 13 personnel. You could be at the goal line and use all 3 of them. The sky's the limit. Oscar Delp, I eventually see being your starting tight end. That's what I envision, because he is a linebacker and safety mismatch. Like, if you put a linebacker or a safety on him, I truly believe it's a big-time mismatch.
Oh, yeah. And then 4th round, I guess this was from the season before, they had the 108th pick, but they ended up trading it to the Denver Broncos in exchange for getting Devon Vale, which glad to have him. So, I mean, I knew that one was coming. But but they also had 2 more picks in the 4th round. These were 2 solid. I think this probably was one of their most solid rounds outside of getting Jordan Tyson in the 1st round. I feel like ever since we've lost Ryan Ramczyk, we've been needing a great offensive guard for quite a while. And yeah, they've had a couple guys or 2 that tried to fill the void, but I feel like they might have found someone to fill what Ramczyk has left off. We get Jeremiah Wright out of Auburn, which was a trade for the Seattle. Well, started as a trade via the Seattle Seahawks, giving him Rashid Shaheed, and for the 132nd and 172nd pick, they ended up getting Jeremiah Wright out of Auburn, and I've seen what this guy can do. This guy knows how to protect the blind side, and I could probably, unless they rotate Cesar Ruiz and puts him at left and puts this guy at right, I probably see him on weak side and keep Cesar Ruiz where he is at, and then he'll be with the solid boys up front with like an Eric McCoy, Kelvin Banks, and Taliesin. That'd be your offensive line right there, I believe.
So let me put it to you this way. Basically, Jeremiah Wright is really great insurance policy. He's started more games. If you go back and watch the film, his film with him playing right guard is kind of phenomenal. I mean, even though he was playing on a very bad Auburn team, he opened up space at that right guard spot, and this is basically telling Caesar, hey, if you don't do good this year, we got somebody that knows how to. We got somebody in waiting for you. So it's basically really great insurance policy, because now when you have Jeremiah Wright, in the picture, you got Kelvin Banks at left tackle, you got David Edwards, who you just signed in free agency from Buffalo. You still got Eric McCoy, who's still got some left in the tank. Then you got Jeremiah Wright at right guard, and then you got Talisi Fuaga at right tackle. That's a solid offensive line, and that's going to keep Tyler Shuck off the grass and off the turf. So it's all going to be on. I would hope Cesar Ruiz doesn't look in his rearview mirror the whole season, but in my opinion, he would have to, because Jeremiah Wright isn't no slouch. And one big mistake from Cesar Ruiz is basically one injury away, like one IR injury away from being done as a starter in New Orleans. Because if Jeremiah Wright gets in there, I don't think Ruiz is going to his spot back.
Yeah, see, and not to me, yeah, we did pick up David Edwards in the free agency from the Buffalo Bills, and then I didn't think of that. And yeah, he is a left guard, so it's like, yeah, Cesar Ruiz could be on thin ice if another injury or an error. Hell, I was even thinking of Will Sherman too. He's got some positions playing on the O line as well in rotation. So, yeah, the O line that's gonna be like a gamble right there. That's like rolling the dice to see who gets that start. That one particular spot. I think you could put David Edwards locked in at left guard, and it'll probably come down to Jeremiah Wright and probably Cesar Ruiz at that right guard position. But another big target for Tyler Shuck that they picked up at the 136th pick, they get wide receiver Bryce Lane out of North Dakota State, who is also the younger brother of Trey Lance, the former QB for the Bison, who was drafted by the Niners. Now he's currently with the Chargers. I don't remember what game it was. It was an FCS playoff game. I don't know if it was the championship game or the semifinal game. It was that catch. You might know what I'm talking about. I think that got Kellen Moore to be like, we could sure use him as a third slot with Chris Olave and Jordan Tyson.
I know exactly what game you're talking about, but I can't. I know exactly what catch you're talking about. I can't remember what team they were playing, but the fact that Kellen Moore drafted someone like a Bryce Lance is kind of, well, it was kind of crazy to me at first because I'm like, whoa, he just drafted another receiver. Can't believe this. Bryce Lance, for people that don't know, he runs a 4.3 40, and he's also 6'3", 6'4". That's another tall receiver that just last year the Saints did not have. They had Devon Vele, who was over 6'4", but other than that, everyone else was like 6 foot or below. So Bryce Lance is going to play some very early snaps. Now, he might have to play some special teams to kind of get on. But I think Bryce Lance is going to be one of your starters at receiver, at that wide receiver 3 or even wide receiver 4 spot, depending on how, the battle between Polk and Vele and everyone else out there works out. But Bryce Lance is an incredible talent and has incredible speed. I think you can probably, I can picture Bryce Lance being used in the slot role, and I think he's going to definitely be a mismatch, like I was mentioning, like Oscar Delp would be. So Bryce Lance in that slot would probably be kind of deadly.
This offense is going to be very exciting to watch with him, Jordan Tyson, Chris Olave, Tyler Shuck, Kamara, if he still sticks around, and I got to get your take, picking up Travis Etienne, Jennings, Louisiana boy from my neck of the woods, coming back home to be a Saint. I gotta get your take. I gotta get your quick thought about picking Travis up.
The crazy thing about picking up Travis is I can remember talking to one of my good friends, Calvin, who you probably see me interact with all the time on Twitter. I can remember texting him in December 2025. I'm like, I was saying, Calvin, how great would it be if we could pick up some, like hypothetically, Travis Etienne and even draft Jeremiah Love and have that incredible duo. Now, 1 out of 2 ain't bad, so I am all aboard. I was all aboard from signing Travis from day one. I absolutely love the pickup. I mean, he's only 27 or 26 years old, I believe, and getting someone. Kellen has done a good job of getting some Louisiana talent back on this team, and I'm very happy that Travis is going to be your starting running back this year because you can use him in a multitude of ways. You can have him in the backfield. You can even have him out wide at receiver and have whoever else standing next to Tyler Shuck, whether that be Kamara, Devin Neal, or whoever back there. So I absolutely love the pickup.
And the most down-to-earth guy you'll ever meet. And it's still crazy. 10 years ago, I was covering this guy in high school, playing with the Jennings Bulldogs. And then before he took off to Clemson, and I did the same with his brother during his time with Jennings as well before he went to Florida first. So, yeah, and I feel like it's gonna be a civil war in Jennings whenever you got one brother playing for the Saints, the other one playing for the Panthers.
Panthers, yeah.
So it's gonna be something there. Now I felt like the Saints were kind of playing chess during this draft because we keep talking about edge rusher when we're gonna get one. I feel like they had this in their pocket because when the 150th pick came, they ended up trading that to the Raiders to pick up, I believe, maybe the best edge receiver there is in the league right now in Tyree Wilson. I mean, you look at his he was with the Raiders, 3 seasons? It was the team he was drafted with. During that time with the Raiders, he 91 total tackles, 57 solo, 34 assists, 12 sacks, four forced fumbles, and 2 fumble recoveries. I think we found the next leader of this defense. This is our new Demario Davis. This guy's going to be the heart and soul of this defense. He's going to lead them to, I'd say greatness, but it's going to lead them to be probably maybe one of the most dangerous defenses in the NFC.
That's to be determined. I hope it really does work out, but I'm very happy that they was able to trade for someone like a Tyree Wilson because they were in earlier talks to try to get Kayvon Thibodeau. The Giants wanted pick 42. The Saints told them to kick rocks, basically. So trading for Tyree Wilson is basically the next best thing. You get him on a year deal, trial run, kind of like that how we did with Chase Young a few years ago, which I think is going to work out well. He did not get developed well at all when he was playing for the Las Vegas Raiders. I mean, the organization as a whole has not been great at all. So you can understand playing for the Raiders, could not be good for development. Now, when you get someone like Tyree Wilson in the Saints defensive line room, you have Bo Davis coaching him. And I think Bo Davis is probably the best defensive line coach in the entire league, or even top 3 in the entire league in the NFL now. I mean, you've seen his line of work. So only trading away the 150th pick and also gaining a 7th round pick in the process for Tyree Wilson, I think is going to work out incredibly well.
Oh, yeah. And then we go to, this was the 172nd pick in the 5th round. They add another Buckeye to the resume. They get safety Lorenzo Styles, which, I mean, with how Ohio State has been dominant the last couple of years, if you can get anybody from Ryan Day's 2 teams those previous years, you're cooking. And they ended up getting a safety to add to that defense right there.
Yeah, Lorenzo Styles, I thought he could have fell a little bit more. He probably could have fell to the 6th round, but they get him where they picked him at. But this guy is probably going to be your going to start at your gunner on special teams at first and work his way up. He's going to basically be your special teams ace starting out, but he's going to work his way up the ladder because the 4.2 speed, you can't teach that. He runs a 4.2, not a 4.4, not a 4.3, 4.2, which is incredible. He had one of the fastest 40s at the combine, actually, and I honestly think if he performs well on special teams, does everything that I know he can do, I can honestly see him kind of maybe make take a shot at that nickelback position or even get thrown in every once in a while at safety. I think Lorenzo Styles was a sneaky kind of good pick.
Yeah. Hell's probably going to freeze over because anytime we get an LSU Tiger drafted by the Saints, the whole state just wants to celebrate. And we get another wide receiver in Barian Brown from LSU. And I want to say, you might can correct me here, he was the first player from LSU to get drafted by the Saints since Will Clapp.
Yeah, he was the first LSU player drafted by the Saints since Will Clapp. I want to say that had to be 2017, 2018. I think it was 2018. And then he was also the first LSU wide receiver to get drafted by the Saints since 2004. So it's been 22
Devery Henderson, right?
Yeah, since Devery. So it's been 22 years since the Saints have drafted a wide receiver from LSU. And first time since 1989 that they've taken 3 wide receivers in one draft. So they did a lot
Exactly. Shouts to Ross Jackson from Locked On Saints for bringing that up. And you brought it back in my head.
Yeah, we just reported on that the other day after the draft. But Barian Brown, I tweeted this out in February because I kind of seen a vision of what you can do with Barry Brown, and he's a return guy. He's your kick returner. He's your punt returner. He's got, I want to say, the record in the SEC for the most kick return touchdowns in SEC history, I believe. So it's another guy that's got 4.4 speed. He basically replaces Rashid Shaheed. The Saints have not had a good return man since Rashid Shaheed moved up to wide receiver 2. Since then, they've been searching for their next return guy. Barry Brown can actually play receivers still. You can throw him out there in different packages, but he's going to be your solid return guy. I think it's going to be both him and Ty Chandler back there returning kicks on kick return, but it's going to be him on punt return.
Before him, I think the last 3 that they called from LSU: Will Clapp, Al Woods, and Devery Henderson.
That sounds about right. It's crazy the huge gap between all of those. I mean, all 3 of the 2 out of the 3 picks I liked, but Will Clapp was a solid depth piece at your offensive line, and I'm happy that he's actually part of the Saints coaching staff now.
Yeah, and then their final pick in the draft in the 7th round, in the 219th pick, they ended up getting T.J. Hall, who was a cornerback from Iowa, which was a trade from the Raiders after giving him that trade and also picking up Tyree Wilson. Another cornerback we can use. I've heard some good stuff about T.J. Hall. I never really paid attention to the Hawkeyes, but Big Ten's trying to be the new SEC, if you get my picture.
Yeah, that'll probably never happen. SEC is always king, but when it comes to T.J. Hall, you look at he's a good zone and a good cover corner. I mean, now he can play a little bit of press man-to-man, but he is best when he's playing in zone coverage. And he might be another special teamer too. Now, T.J. Hall might work his way up the ladder like a lot of these guys will, earning their bones on special teams. But if you look at this draft and how they drafted, especially at the cornerback and wide receiver position, they absolutely transformed those 2 position group rooms just with one draft and even free agency. So I think T.J. Hall was a very underrated pick. I mean, I talked to a few people about it who are more in the know than I am about T.J. Hall, even though I do a lot of film watching. And they are saying that he was a very sneaky good pick, that they couldn't believe that he fell to the 7th round.
I graded this draft class. I wanted to give it an A-, but I think everyone gave it about a B or a B+. I thought it was good enough to be close to an A- to me, but I stuck with a B.
That's exactly where I'm at. I don't want to give it an A just yet because I want to see how the draft class performs actually on the field when the bullets are flying live, just kind of like with last year's draft class. You kind of have to give the 2025 class almost an A+ because they all performed really well. Now, granted, Vernon Broughton had a season-ending injury. That was unfortunate, and Fidel Diggs was up and down off the 53 all year long, good depth piece, and Maliki Matavo didn't play well. But all your important pieces from that class give you basically an A-. Now with this class, I'm going to give it a B+ because I think there's room to grow. Like I said, I want to see how they play when the bullets are flying live.
Yeah, and they ended up picking up 6 players from the undrafted players. Alex, if I'm saying it right, Walshalager, offensive lineman from Kentucky. Cody Hardy, tight end from NC State. Jeremiah McClendon, cornerback from Southern Illinois. Alan Hernan, offensive lineman from Maryland. Michael Heldman, which is an edge rusher from Central Michigan. And Keyshawn Silver, defensive tackle from USC.
Yeah, and after they also picked up C.J. Donaldson from Ohio State, the short yardage running back from Ohio State. That was kind of cool, great too. Now, out of all those undrafted free agents, I think only 2, maybe 3 of them actually make the 53 or even the practice squad. And the defensive end edge rusher from Central Michigan, I think, has the best chance. And then second best chance, the offensive lineman from Maryland. They had a top 30 visit with him. So, and then I want to see if C.J. Donaldson is going to actually get reps or what happens with him, because it's very interesting because he was only a short yardage back at Ohio State for the most part. So, I mean, he's 6'2", 200, pushing 240. And he's kind of a bruiser, and we don't know what's going to happen with Kamara. So, I mean, that could be like a little somebody you throw in a practice squad, and if something happens to your running back room, God forbid, of course, then he's right there.
And then they ended up signing 2 veterans to the team, from Anthony Jennings from the Patriots and Martin Emerson Jr. from the Cleveland Browns. 2 solid defensive players right there.
Oh, absolutely. And both of them are going to be starters. The Jennings signing, I think, basically signifies that Cam Jordan's time here is done. It's unfortunate to say, because he is a Hall of Famer. He's going to be in Canton. He's also a Saints Hall of Famer. His number's probably going to be in the rafters in the Superdome, probably next to Drew's very, very soon. And the thing is, it's going to be 37 in July, and no one around the league is going to pay the kind of money that he wants because of his age. Now, don't get me wrong, he's still productive, but yeah. And Martin Emerson, if it was not for his Achilles tear, in the injuries that he suffered, when he was in Cleveland, he was a starter. He started at the cornerback 2 position in Cleveland. Now you get him here in New Orleans, he's still a young and up-and-comer. He's got so much tread left on the tires. And wow, both those signings, those 2 are going to be starters for you. I mean, Jennings is going to probably be one of your starting outside linebackers opposite Caden Ellis, who's going to be the other outside linebacker, with Warner and Stutzman on the inside. And then Martin Emerson's probably going to be your third corner, starting underneath, Kool-Aid and Quincy. So both those sides, very smart signings this offseason. I got to give this offseason kind of an A+.
Yeah. One more thing before we wrap up. 20 years ago, we had this amazing draft class: Reggie Bush, Roman Harper, Jari Evans, Rob Ninkovich, Zach Streeth, and Marcus Colston. 20 years ago, we had those guys. And look how the times have been. How crazy that's been, 20 years. Maybe you believe that may have been the best draft class the Saints ever had.
Well, I would have to say that 2006 class, first of all, set the foundation for them to win the Super Bowl 3 years later. And outside of 2017, I think was the best draft class the Saints ever had. And then I think 2006 is on the thin line. That 2006 has to be the number 2, but both draft classes really set the foundations. Now, maybe give the edge to 2006 because we actually won a Super Bowl with all of those players except for Rob Ninkovich, who we let go because that was very foolish. He went on to go win with the Patriots, but yeah, it's great.
Yeah, nothing's going to touch that 09 season, of course, but that 06 season was the planting of the seed, because it's going to mark 20 years from that class. 20 years getting Drew Brees, 20 years back in the dome after Katrina, the block punt from Steve Gleason, the first ever NFC Championship appearance where they fell short to the Bears. Yeah, I mean, as much as we talk about 09, that 06 season was still special too, even though they were that short, making it to a Super Bowl that year as well. But I'll still cherish that season, how magic that was after the situation they were in with Katrina.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there was a point in time where Tom Benson, God rest his soul, almost moved the team to San Antonio because he thought New Orleans was never going to come back, and a lot of us didn't. So I get it. That 2006 season was one for the books. I'll say that.
Mm-hmm. Well, this was fun. We're a little over the mark, but we're about to wrap it up now. But again, thank you for coming on. It was a pleasure having you. It's been a while. I mean, we usually message every so often, but it's been a while since we collab like this. Hopefully, I can catch you during the regular season. We can probably do a crossover with some other guys if our team's playing against him and their teams and whatnot, and do predictions with that in college and whatnot. But hope you enjoy that time in Baton Rouge. I hope you get to go to Death Valley this coming season. But real quick, let them know where they can find you on social media.
Well, you can find me on Facebook. Just search my name, Logan Graffia, and if you are on Twitter, just type in at the Soulman57 as you see it on the screen. I'm not hard to find at all.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again, brother. I'm ready to tap out too. I've been wide awake to do this, but now that it's over, I'm slowly dozing off myself. So, but this was fun. Thank you. Take care, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Thank you.